The architect's mind, the Egyptian secret to building eternal empires, the invisible behind the colossal. Hello, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and picture ancient Egypt. What do you see? Most of us visualize monumental pyramids, enigmatic sphinxes, and imposing temples. But what I, as a performance archaeologist, see in these structures is not only the brilliance of engineering, but also a breathtaking mental architecture. The real secret of Egyptian civilization wasn't the brute force to move stones, but the long-term vision, discipline, and purpose of a mindset that transcended a single lifetime. Their version of high performance wasn't measured in years, but in millennia. And that's the most powerful lesson we can unearth today. We live in an age that glorifies immediate results and instant gratification. We build our lives and careers on foundations of sand, chasing outcomes for the next quarter, the next year. But the Egyptians thought differently. They built for eternity. Every stone, every alignment, every hieroglyph was a manifestation of a collective purpose, a belief that their work had a meaning far greater than individual existence. They understood that legacy is not something you build at the end of your life, but with every disciplined action in the present. Their focus wasn't on the here and now, but on a future they would never see. And that is the true essence of high performance that endures. Think about your day. How many times did you get distracted by a meaningless task because it gave you a quick reward? What Egyptian mental architecture teaches us is that true discipline is the ability to delay gratification, to focus on something that carries deep meaning, even if the results are not immediately visible. The legacy of a pharaoh wasn't built on the popular approval of his time, but on the organization and discipline that ensured his name and his purpose would be remembered for generations. The resilience of that civilization wasn't about simply enduring pain, it was about a mindset that life was a cycle and that their work was part of something much greater. High performance born from long-term vision is much stronger and more enduring than performance born from the pursuit of quick rewards. The discipline of an Egyptian architect was forged in the silence of observation, in the patience of planning, in the resilience of an unshakable purpose. And your work, your life, your business, these are your pyramids. The first step to victory is having a purpose that transcends yourself. The practical action for this part of our journey is about taking that first act of long-term vision. Take a moment to ask yourself, what legacy do I want to build? What do I want people to remember about me 50 years from now? And don't rush to answer. Just feel the power of the question itself. That question is the first stone of your pyramid. If the idea of building a legacy resonates with you, and if you're ready to uncover the secrets of the Egyptian mindset for your own life, comment "My legacy" below. And if the full video made you reflect, hit the like button and subscribe, so you don't miss the next stage of this expedition. The immortality of the mind. If you allowed yourself the boldness to reflect on your legacy, then you've already taken the first step in building your pyramid. But what can the mental architecture of the Egyptians teach us about resilience, the ability to carry the weight of such a construction? Most of us live our entire lives with a short-term mindset. What feels good today is what matters. But the Egyptians invite us to think differently, to embrace the immortality of our essence. In their culture, they believed every person had both a ka and a ba. The ba was your essence, your personality, your individuality that could travel beyond the physical. The ka was your life force, your spiritual energy that remained in the tomb. And their version of high performance was about honoring the ka, about living a life so meaningful that your life force could endure forever. In our journey as performance archaeologists, we've unearthed many codes of discipline, but few are as profound as the Egyptian mindset. They show us that high performance is not about accumulating things, but about building something that transcends time. Their purpose was not only to construct pyramids, but to create their own immortality through their actions, their long-term vision, and their legacy. The resilience of an Egyptian wasn't forged in the hope of a distant future, but in the certainty that their actions in the present honored their ka and their immortality. They understood something we often ignore. The fear of death is not about death itself, but about the life left unlived. And that's our greatest lesson. High performance born from a purpose of legacy is far stronger and longer lasting than performance born from the craving for rewards. The discipline of an Egyptian architect was forged in the acceptance of impermanence, in the awareness of life's fragility. That acceptance gave them a clarity of purpose that made them truly unstoppable. They didn't build for money or glory, they built for legacy. And that is the greatest difference. High performance rooted in an unshakable purpose is far more powerful and enduring than performance driven by temporary desires. The discipline of an Egyptian was the reflection of an inner commitment that transcended battlefields and generations. And here is the practical action for this part of our expedition. It's about the immortality of your mind. Take your journal and write down one fear that paralyzes you. It could be the fear of failing in a project, the fear of being judged, or the fear of rejection. Now, picture your legacy. Imagine you've already built your pyramid. Then ask yourself a crucial question. If my worst fear actually happened, could I still act in a way that honored my legacy and purpose? This act of planning your resilience before the crisis comes is what will give you the strength to face it or even prevent it from paralyzing you in the first place. The Egyptians weren't waiting for strength in the future. They forged it in the present through a vision larger than themselves. And remember, this journey is only beginning to reveal your true power. We're just scratching the surface of what Egyptian mental architecture can bring into your own life. If the idea of building a legacy that transcends your lifetime resonates with you, comment "Ka" below. And if the full video inspired you to reflect, hit like, subscribe, and stay with us for the next stage of this expedition. The sacred organization. If you've dared to reflect on your legacy, you've already taken the first step in building your pyramid. But what else can the Egyptians teach us about resilience, the strength to carry the weight of such a monumental construction? Most of us live trapped in the mindset of the moment. What feels good right now is what matters. But the Egyptians invite us to think differently, to embrace the immortality of our essence. In their culture, they believed each person carried both a Ka and a Ba. The Ba was your essence, your personality, the part of you that could travel beyond the physical. The Ka was your life force, your spiritual energy that remained in the tomb. Their pursuit of high performance was not about material achievements, but about honoring the Ka, living in such a way that their life force would endure forever. As performance archaeologists, we've unearthed many codes of discipline, but few reach the depth of the Egyptian mentality. They remind us that high performance is not about possessions or accomplishments, but about creating something that transcends time itself. Their pyramids were more than structures. They were vessels of immortality, carved through their actions, vision, and discipline. Their resilience wasn't built on waiting for some distant future. It was built on the certainty that every action in the present was shaping immortality. They understood what we often overlook. The fear of death is not truly about dying, it's about never having lived with purpose. That is their timeless lesson. High performance anchored in legacy is always stronger than performance born from short-term gratification. The discipline of an Egyptian architect was forged through the acceptance of life's impermanence. Recognizing life's fragility gave them a clarity of purpose that made them unstoppable. They weren't building monuments for wealth or applause, they were building for legacy. And that's the vital difference. High performance rooted in purpose transcends the superficial. It's a commitment that carries you beyond limitations, beyond setbacks, and beyond generations. Here is the practical action for this part of our journey. It's about the immortality of your own mind. Take your notebook and write down one fear that paralyzes you. Perhaps it's the fear of failure in a project. Perhaps it's the fear of being judged. Now, imagine your legacy. Picture yourself having already built your pyramid. Then ask yourself, if my greatest fear became reality, could I still act in a way that honored my purpose and legacy? By preparing your resilience before a crisis strikes, you'll carry the strength to face it or even prevent it from holding you back. This is how the Egyptians thought, not in reaction, but in creation. Their resilience came from vision, from belief, from preparation. And this, my friend, is only the beginning. We are merely brushing the surface of what Egyptian mental architecture can unlock within you. Their wisdom is not just about the past, it's a timeless code for performance, discipline, and leadership that still applies today. If the vision of building a legacy that transcends your lifetime speaks to you, then comment "Caw" below. And if the full video gave you insight, like it, subscribe, and stay with us. The next stage of this expedition will dive even deeper into the Egyptian mind and into your own. The vision of eternity. If you've already started building your mental pyramid, then you know the discipline of an Egyptian wasn't about moving stones, it was about holding a vision so powerful that transcended a single lifetime. The high performance of an entire civilization was the outcome of a collective mindset of purpose and resilience. They didn't build for the approval of one generation, they built for eternity. And that is the most powerful lesson their mental architecture has to teach us. Your true legacy, not what you construct, but the mindset you cultivate within yourself. On our journey as performance archaeologists, we uncover what really matters. The Egyptians' legacy does not merely lie in the pyramids that still defy time, but in the very idea of purpose that inspired their creation. Their discipline was an expression of a long-term vision capable of inspiring generations. In an era like ours, where we're constantly tempted to compromise values for convenience, the Egyptian mindset calls us to be the moral compass of our own lives. Their resilience didn't come from an ability to endure pain, but from the ability to live with integrity even in the harshest circumstances. That is true high performance, the decision to live as your own code of honor, to be guided by your own principles, to embody your own truth. The mindset of a true leader is not about being perfect, but about striving toward perfection every single day. The mental architecture of the Egyptians is a call to action, an invitation to continuous knowledge, to unshakable resilience. The legacy you will build is not about power, but about wisdom. It's not about dominance, but about clarity of purpose. True greatness is not measured by what you own, but by the discipline and vision you live by. That is the dynasty you are capable of creating. A dynasty of conscious choices, of quiet discipline, of a life lived with meaning. That is what eternal high performance truly is, a journey with no finish line, a path that keeps calling you higher. Now, here is the practical action for this final stage of our journey. Make a commitment to yourself. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a moment in the future when you are at the peak of your performance. What would your future self say to you, standing here today at the beginning of this journey? Write that message in your journal and read it every single day. Let it be your anchor, your compass, your reminder that every step you take is part of a greater legacy. Our expedition through Marcus Aurelius gave us a new perspective on leadership. The discipline of the samurai showed us the power of legacy. And now, the Egyptians reveal to us the architecture of the eternal mind. But remember, our journey as archaeologists of success is only beginning. Many other artifacts, philosophies, and stories still await us. So, if you're ready to begin your own dynasty of long-term vision, comment "My legacy" below. And if the full video gave you a new discipline for your life, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who also needs this message. Because true wisdom is not just for you, the legacy you pass on.